Obviously, our film is just starting its journey, but we were very excited to be able to do this limited screen for people in Hong Kong and other places. This is really fun for me, you guys, because I've never moderated anything, and this is a very nice way that I can ask you guys questions about the process that I've never asked you. Obviously, like we were working together for so many months, but now I feel like I can zoom out and peel back the layers and find out more about what you think about the whole process and everything. Um, and then obviously we'll have some time for Q&A and you know, feel free to chime in, send questions to the chat or to the folks at Asia Society, and we'll do our best to answer those. And we'll do our best to stay on topic. So, shall we start? Okay, I first want to ask you guys, and it's a bit embarrassing that I've never asked you this specifically, but do you remember when I first approached you guys way back when about doing this film, and why did you want to do this? What drew you to be in this film?
Miles.
I think you were introduced to me by one of the actors in this movie, Marie Cornelio.
Right.
And then I met you first in a coffee shop in in Hong Kong. And then you were very intimidating.
Really?
Yeah, because
Why
I think
is that?
you were a bit formal.
Yeah.
And this is of course my first acting project as an adult. And also I was auditioning for the lead role, so I was very nervous. The reason why I wanted to be a part of this film is, number one, I just want to act. I've been waiting for a lot of years already. I started acting when I was 7, but then I had to quit because I need to focus on my studies and focus on work. And yeah, I've been waiting for this, and then when I found out that this also involves dancing,
Hmm.
I immediately thought that it's going to be fun.
Hmm.
and and then it's so rare to see a movie that has Filipino actors in it, mostly
Hmm.
Filipino actors.
In Hong Kong,
Yeah, in
especially.
Hong Kong
Yeah.
especially. Yeah.
Yeah. Siza, do you want to answer that,
Oh
or
yeah,
yeah, tell
sure.
me why, what
Um,
was the beginning for you?
I know that I've been the one chasing you about this because it took a while for you to get back to me, and I was so excited because after my first film with the Still Human, and I
Mm.
also heard this, I guess, from another actress, and I got so excited because I know that it will be like mostly all Filipino casting.
Right.
Firstly, I love to act. I started acting when I was 11. As Smiles as well, it stopped. I kind of changed my path growing up. And after Still Human, I kind of enjoy acting, and I like the fact that I can share my talent. Then when you sent me the storyline, I immediately fell in love, and I did not hesitate because I know that I can resonate on Sampa's character. So yeah, I'm really glad that you chose me. It's really an
But
honor for me.
no, I mean, the honor is shared, but it's funny because I remember now we we were not only talking to both of you as actors, but also as casting, help with casting as well. Like
Yeah.
Miles, you mentioned Marie Cornelia, who's in the film, plays the role of Rosa, helped us find you and countless of other people. And then both of you guys helped us find other people.
Yeah.
Siza, you helped us with locations, with catering, with crew, and so it didn't really feel like, at least for me, it never felt like it was a casting call
Yeah,
where
that's
it was like
good.
read these lines. It felt much more like a
You're
conversation
part
of,
of
do
it.
you agree with this? Yeah,
Yes.
Collaboration. Yeah.
yeah,
And
um,
we really put so much heart and effort to this because as you just mentioned, it didn't feel like I'm just an actress, because even if I'm not part of the scene, I would go up, show, and help around, because
Yeah.
mhm,
yeah, it's just fun to be around everyone, and I this film really helps me a lot with in terms of understanding the bigger community of domestic workers in Hong Kong. So
and it's Miles, you also said something about this. It's surprisingly, even though Hong Kong has hundreds of thousands of people from the Philippines, there's not a lot of movies about them. And it that
Yeah.
for some reason that is rare. And one of the things I've always thought is that when there is a movie about them, it portrays them in a very one-dimensional way. And did you obviously I was trying to do something different than that, but from your point of views, could you see that in the beginning, or were you, be honest, were you worried like this foreigner is gonna like mess this up and like make us look terrible? How did you like grapple with that? Because there is a lot of responsibility for all of us, not just for me, but even for you both, and in some ways for more for both of you. How did you approach that in the beginning, before we had the shoot done, before we knew what the film was really about, just in the very beginning?
Yeah. Number one, I read the whole script, and also we had days when we would just talk about our our dreams and our intention in doing this film. So um so with that, I got to know you even more and got to
Mm-hmm.
know your real purpose in doing this film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Siza?
Um, at first, I wasn't sure because when I found out like you're not Filipino, because
Yeah.
I thought like you're at least Chinese, who lives in Hong Kong, and I did some research,
Mm-hmm.
and then when as Miles said, we kind of get to know you, and I felt that you are sincere, like making this movie, and you always ask my opinion, and I really appreciate it. You would always make sure that, oh, is this right, is this then, so then I know like you want to make sure that the representation is accurate.
Yeah. You know, when you just said that, you reminded me, Siza, the first time I ever met, because I had obviously Marie also mentioned you to me, and I had heard of you through Still Human, and other things. But I remember the first time we met, we didn't really read lines. I think we just kind of talked about the
Yeah.
role. And then the second time we met, you read some lines from
Yeah.
a scene. And I remember after that, it wasn't long, it was like 20 minutes, but I remember thinking, this whole scene needs to be rewritten to like tailor to you, because you had told
Yeah.
me about your experience as a single mother.
Yeah.
And there were many moments like this, not just with you but with other actors too. But I would just think, this isn't even acting or auditioning, this is writing, this is
Yeah.
stuff that we need to put in the film, that
Mm.
obviously I have not lived myself, and I need, it's just so authentic and it's so real. But I've never, that's probably the most impressive like audition, if you want to call it that, I've ever seen. Because yeah, I think you might have started to tear up during that little scene. But the scene where Sampa, for those of you who have seen the film, and I won't ruin it for those of you who haven't, there's a scene where your character, Siza, Sampa, talks about the struggle of leaving her son behind in the Philippines to go to Hong Kong to raise someone else's kids. And that's such a common universal theme. But the
Very.
way you were talking about those feelings was so, I could just feel it, and I saw the character, and I was like, for sure, this is it. But it's interesting, as much as everybody knows each other, you two did not know each other super well at that
Yeah.
point, right?
Yeah. We only met on the first day of shoot. Oh no, when we
Right.
when we rehearsed the dance scene, and I
Mhm.
already know that we clicked. So even after the movie, we stay in touch. We're actually friends, like more than ever. And yeah, it's good. I think like we have that chemistry.
Do you feel, Miles, like for you maybe, do you feel that not being super friendly in the beginning in some way helped or hurt, H and Sampa, their relationship together, because Miles and Siza are not yet so close like you guys are now? How did that impact that?
Um, I think Siza was really very friendly from the start. I think after our rehearsal, we went out for coffee, and we just talked about our lives, share our opinions, and also how we are going to portray our characters.
Mm.
I
And
think,
that really helped, right? That
yeah,
really
I
helped.
think it helped. It helped a lot because we also had um, to rehearse for some dance scenes, and those dance scenes require us to be um, what do you call it? To be close and to have some
Yeah.
intimacy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it
Because
really helped a lot.
most scenes that we have are quite intimate. Sorry to say for to those who haven't watched it. Most of our scenes are quite intimate. So it really requires like the connection between you and me. And I guess like because we're both Leo and we totally understand each other, we're very passionate. We come from like, yeah, you know what I mean? There's so many things in common. So the day that we met, we clicked. We have same, we share same interests, and I guess the passion to to share, to voice out our opinions. We're very opinionative people, so
Mhm.
that really helps too. And I'm so glad that we did that coffee talk. Otherwise, it would be so awkward doing the first thing together. So,
True.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, why was I not invited to that coffee?
oh yeah, we were
There
just
were a lot of those.
Because we were
forgetting
talking
each
about
other.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure. No, of course. We have a message from Teresa who says, I really appreciate how you've given a voice to a community in Hong Kong that has been stifled a long time. Amazing shoot, new angle to untold stories, and hot Pinoy is needless to say. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
um, yeah, it's like we said, it's funny, it's strange how this type of story has not been told. Um, I'm interested, both of you are not domestic workers, but you're Filipina. And in a city like Hong Kong with, almost 400,000 domestic workers, more than half of them Filipina, how, do you get profiled? Do you find people make judgments about you, discriminate against you? What is that like? And how did you want to address that in our film?
Um, so part of my teenage life here, I'm
Yeah.
partly based here. I've witnessed a lot of this situation because when as a teenager, we always get called out like some some kids from the international school, they would say, oh, how's your mom, cleaning the toilet, how's your mom like sleeping with the dad, like things like this. It's really harsh to say, and I'm open with this. I grew up hearing things like this, and it's not very funny, it's not very nice. But I guess for us it's just to stand still, be proud of who we are, be proud of our color and our race. We normally get into fight because of this, because we want to make sure, like sometimes it's degrading. It's
Yeah.
really degrading. And growing up, I kind of understand things that not everyone, are educated about this.
Hmm.
And also like I've seen a lot of situations where people always look down on Filipino or Southeast Asian in general,
Yeah.
and it's just really sad. Like
Yeah.
we only aim to empower each other and educate and correct this stereotypes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Miles, what about you?
When I first came to Hong Kong, I really had a hard time looking for jobs. It's as if some people in Hong Kong don't really um, um, they don't really find Philippine schools that impressive sometimes, and sometimes we also get stereotyped as domestic workers. Although
Right.
it's not a bad thing, but people would always think that the only job that we can do is domestic worker.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think with this film, I think this film is very important because um, we have a platform to represent this group of people, these ethnic minorities, and raise awareness that that they're more than just their jobs. They're also
Sure.
human beings. Yeah, and they
Mhm.
also have their dreams, their own struggles in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful to be given this opportunity to represent these people, because these domestic workers, I grew up singing with them in church. So yeah, so I'm happy that as an actor I would be able um to let people understand where they're coming from.
Mhm. Yeah. And I can't even imagine both of you because it's your face on screen, right? I can always hide behind something, I'm behind the camera. But for both of you to have that weight on your shoulders of, you've seen the discrimination, you've seen the stereotypes in the media, and now here's a chance to do it differently and show, like you say, Miles, show that they're more than just helpers, right? These women have talent
Yep.
and that was my initial inspiration. Just the immense talent is unbelievable for people who have never been to Hong Kong. I always tell people, if you're going to go to Hong Kong, go on a Sunday and go to Central, because you will see something that is so special to me and captured my heart and my inspiration. And it's people just don't even know. But how did you deal with that pressure? Like, you both mentioned representation. What does it mean, representation, to both of you before, as you're going into this project? And how did you wrestle with that? Because it must have been tough.
Um, would you like to answer first, Xyza?
I guess like it's really important to like representation is really important. And I know like the recent issue that we dealt. I'm sure like a lot of people in Hong Kong are very aware of the brown face. I guess it's not just about the skin color. It's not about the brown face issue. It's like negative impact of such bad portrayal. I don't know. I'm really confused with that issue, and I'm trying to like understand more.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see like different aspect from my perspective and other people. But during that time, it kind of divide Filipinos as well, because not everyone are aware of the Philippine that situation. And for some, it's okay. It's okay to just be labeled as brown face, but most of us are not, because as I said earlier, we want to change this. We want to change this stereotypical label that they always named for Southeast Asian or Filipinos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting because in the old film industry days, they would tell you, your characters need to be likable, they need to be good people, and the audience needs to like them and like think they're honorable or noble. And I think now that's different. There's a lot of good films and TV about really despicable people. But I think that the key in writing any character may be just not doing it in a one-dimensional way, right? You don't have to show, like, we wanted to make a film that empowers domestic workers and shows them in a powerful, beautiful light. But that doesn't mean we're never going to show them do something bad, because they're human beings. They're not perfect.
Yeah.
We're not trying to tell you they're perfect. We're trying to show you their different sides. Like real life would show you. And so I do think there's a lot of people who view representation as, just like a sort of propaganda for a type of, for a community. But to me, that's not what it is. To me, it's just a fair and well-rounded and well-researched and considered portrayal of someone. And yeah, like it's I mean, like you say, Xyza, it's something that we're all figuring out as we go. I don't think any of us have an answer to this, but just being open-minded and listening, I think, is important. Not knowing your character before you know them, letting your actors decide who the character is too, letting the people from the community work on it, and figure it out together.
But I also think like it should be done properly, or like do a lot more research, like kind of know the culture, this kind of things that I guess are very important to make it more authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true. And I think representation matters, especially to also young artists out there, that they sometimes couldn't find anyone that looks similar to them with the same skin color, especially here in Hong Kong. Most of the actors here are locals. Mm-hmm. So I hope that we could inspire young actors that they could make it too, that they could be lead actors in the film as well. They could just be themselves and show their talent to the world.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because when we were young, back in the Philippines, we also didn't see a lot of morena Filipino actors especially in commercials and ads. We would always see people who are mestiza. So I think with this kind of film, we could represent Filipino actors, and that we could inspire other artists as well.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the hope. Definitely. Did you guys? This is a fun one. Did you learn anything about domestic workers? Because you obviously knew a lot, but now, after all these years that we've been working on this, what did you learn actually? Because I learned so much.
I've learned that they're really resilient.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They have a lot of struggles in life, and also in the workplace. It's so hard because they had to stay with a family that they're not really related. And yet every Sunday you see them on the streets dancing as if they don't have any problem. And after doing this film, I realized that I complain so much about life when in fact I have so many freedom compared to these people. That's so true. So it made me appreciate my life even more, and then find things to be passionate about. Like life doesn't just revolve around work.
Exactly.
There's so much more to life.
Yeah. True. Well, I'm very close with the domestic workers, as I've done a few charity works since 2008. So I know very much the struggle. I've witnessed a few. My mother used to run employment agency, and I've witnessed how they are treated by their employees. So I know this community very, very well, and I understand the struggles. I feel them. And sometimes, I just don't know how they do it. Like I stay in someone else's house while my daughter or my son in the Philippines, because I grew up with overseas worker parents, and I know how it is being away from their family. And the least that you can do is just move on with your life, continue being happy, with domestic workers that I've seen in Hong Kong every Sunday. Like you would just look at them and see, like, no matter what their problem is back home, they try to put happy faces here in Hong Kong. That's a list that they can do. And I've learned so much. Like I've met a lot of different stories of domestic workers, and I'm a very emotional person. So sometimes it really got me thinking that we always, like what you said, we always complain about this and that, like small things. But honestly, like us being like Hong Kong resident, we're very lucky compared to our fellow Filipinos here they've been working for their employees for 25 years, and yet they couldn't even get the residency. They can't bring their families here in Hong Kong. They can't bring them here. So yeah, I just think like it's also like a Filipino characters that were very resilient. So this movie portrays it all. You hit the point, Stefanos, where there's happy moment, there's sad moment, there's just go with the flow kind of character. So yeah, it's pretty interesting that we as Filipino, we just try to what do you say that, like when you stand back up again, you fail and then
you get back up. Absolutely. And that's like you said something about the dance is not just, they work so hard during the week and then they try to put on a smile on Sunday and dance. And I think if you're just walking by Central, if you just see it quickly, you'll think this is just fun. They're having fun. But if you do look closer, you will see that some of them are crying while they're dancing.
Yeah,
definitely. And it's not all happiness, right? But it's this beautiful dancing with your struggle that was so inspiring to me, because Hong Kong can be a conservative place. People are sort of individual and often in their own world. on the MTR and everything. And just to see so many women dancing on the streets, just as if they're fighting with their lives and trying to make their lives better and trying to support their families. And dance is their way of surviving, and it's their way of expressing that and releasing all the tension and seeing their friends just for one glorious day a week. It's magic. And people who haven't seen it, it's people come to me and they say, oh, but they don't really dance like that, right? Like you guys exaggerate. And no, we didn't. They're amazingly talented.
They are very talented.
They have crews. They do competitions.
They do even dance better than us.
They actually,
yeah, I know. Some of the best dancers in the film are from that community. We should shout out Star Pinoy Dancers and Kayumangi Crew. They're two of my favorites. They're all so talented.
And it seems like they don't run out of energy, like on that day that we were as I recall, when we were filming this dance, they seem like they have 100% energy while just watching them. Like, this is your only day off, but yet you gave your heart, your energy just for the sake of this film. They're amazing. They're really amazing.
Agree.
And for those who don't know, I should also just add, people don't know, they work sometimes for decades in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is viewed as a good city, right? There's other places, Singapore, Jeddah, Dubai, like Hong Kong many people feel they're lucky that they got sent to Hong Kong, but permanent residency, not an option, right? Everyone else, you stay 7 years and work, you're a PR, not for them. The 2-week rule, just the salary and the abuse they face. Obviously, it could be a talk just about this, but it is worth mentioning that their lives are not easy and they do face a lot of struggle. And then to see that dance is truly, truly beautiful, I think. Okay, should we do some audience questions?
Oh my God.
Okay, number one, a question for everybody. Which scene in the movie was your favorite to direct and act? Why don't you guys share what was your favorite scene to act in? Oh God.
I think my favorite is the Repulse Bay scene. I think the weather is just perfect. Like, everything is so magical, even the sunset. And I was just so happy to see my friends dance with us.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, we were, Xyza and I were both nervous before filming that scene because most of the dancers there are really professional dancers. And, I don't know what happened, but I think that day was just really perfect.
That day was amazing.
Yeah.
Two favorites. First is the crying scene where Miles and I had a really heart-to-heart talk about Ramon. That was my favorite scene because, as I told you many times, I will tell over and over again that I don't feel like I was acting. I feel like that's me sharing Miles my experience as a single mom. So even if now I still remember my lines there, I would still cry over and over because it's just very close to my heart. Second is the one with the dance mob with 100 domestic workers. I feel like it's very challenging for us because during pandemic we had to stay. We still have to follow the restrictions. We had to gather 4 by 4. It was really hot out there, and like I told you earlier, that the energy that we get from the domestic workers is just amazing. Like, just gathering all of them in one place during COVID is phenomenal. So those are my 2 favorite scenes.
All of those were amazing. Repulse Bay, I mean, shout out to all those dancers who came.
Oh yes, and that too.
And because I think that day we weren't sure how many people would come to dance.
Yes.
And it ended up just being a party. Like, we basically just had a party at Repulse Bay.
Yeah.
And the guys who were fishing, I remember they were so annoyed because we were like taking all this space and they were just trying to fish. And normally it's very quiet, like on that little pier. And then all of a sudden we're like blasting music and dancing. And sunset, incredible.
That's beautiful. Memorable too, because are all like Hong Kong kids, they're all
Yeah.
Mhm.
Filipinos who grew up and born and raised in Hong Kong. And it's
Mhm.
so nice that they just showed up there. Without us
Yeah.
knowing how many people will show up. And that was a really good scene too. The
True.
weather was perfect.
Mhm.
you know.
True. And
Yes,
all of them are just
true.
volunteers. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
will, yeah. So
exactly.
I really appreciate their time.
And speaking of volunteering, the other day you mentioned Siza, the one with 100 active domestic workers. We
Mhm.
obviously wanted to feature active domestic workers in the film. The problem was that it's illegal to hire them for anything outside their contracts, and their employers, most cases, they would not let um, them shoot something. They just don't have time, or it's not cool for them. But I was honored that we put out this Facebook group of, come dance in this film. It's going to be 6 hours. It's on a Sunday. It is going to be hot. We can't legally pay anyone.
Yeah.
And it is COVID, but if you want to show how amazing you are at dancing, come out. And we got 100 people. And it was like we did a casting, not a casting, but we did sort of an interview session to
Interviews.
find the people who could just manage this crowd, right? It was like 2 rounds. It was like the casting and then the interview for the people who could handle the crowd, because we did have to do the whole social distancing thing. I should say, just so we don't get in trouble, we had special permission to shoot and exceed. There was a limit on gathering. We exceeded that,
Yeah.
but we had a permission to do it. But of course, still people are freaking out, watching us shoot. What are you
Yeah.
doing? There's more. You have way more than 4 people. I see
Yeah.
100 people. Um,
That
Most
was
fun
pretty
day ever.
intense. That was pretty intense
Yeah.
because people might criticize us, like, what are you
True.
doing? In the
Yeah.
midst of the pandemic, you guys are here with hundreds of people. But I'm
Mhm.
really, really glad. I'm so proud of that scene because we managed to execute that
Yeah.
properly. And even the police were there, like they're very nice to us
Yeah.
in all
It's true.
honesty.
Yeah.
And the least that we can do is just to stay positive, like positive energy, and
Mhm.
stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
was
True.
really.
and Lulu and Karen, if you're watching, thank you guys. You both helped us immensely on that, and we had a lot of help. That was a big, big day, and a very important day, because I wouldn't feel happy if we didn't have one big scene with a lot of active domestic workers. So I agree. I would say that's my favorite one as well.
Do
Okay,
you
question for, yeah, go ahead.
wait, do you remember this? There's another lady who was wearing a yellow
Oh yeah.
apron. She is
Yeah.
actually promoting her advocate, like the mental advocate or something. And
Uh,
she's just really funny and amazing. So I got so curious because it was so hot, but yes, she was
yeah.
wearing this yellow apron. So I got to talk to her and
Yeah.
like, oh, ate, what is this about? And she was like, oh, this is my advocate, and I'm promoting the mental health issue. And I'm like so happy, and we captured that. I saw that on the film
Oh yeah.
because she's the
Oh
only
yeah.
one wearing like really loud yellow colors.
Mm.
So
She looks
hats
really
off.
cool.
She's
We
super cool.
couldn't cut
Hats
that
off.
out for sure.
Hats off to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we have another question for you, Miles. Your acting in the movie is very captivating. What is one essential element or emotion that you want to bring through in H's character?
Thank you so much for the compliment.
Miles is nervous now.
Uh, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I think portraying H was like a therapy to me because before filming, Steph and I had a lot of conversations. We talk about my past, my struggles, my pains in life,
Mhm.
and I think um, I think those conversations really helped me in portraying H, showing that that domestic workers have a lot of things in their plate, but then sometimes they just pretend that they're okay. Um, I don't know what to say. I'm really nervous.
But I think you
Um,
achieved those things. Like, I think
mm,
You
yeah. H is very well rounded, Miles.
mm,
It's not, it's not an archetype in any way. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah, I'm just really glad that you wrote her character that way. You show that H is also a human being. She has
of
dreams.
course, yeah.
She makes mistakes. She's not perfect. She's not
Mhm.
she's not a perfect lead character in the film.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
despite the one thing I like about H is despite her cold-hearted personality there, she's still a vulnerable. She showed a bit of vulnerability in terms of with
Mm-mm.
Sampa and H together.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, some more questions here. Okay. Let's see. Thanks for this wonderful movie. I really like the end of the movie, the conversation between H and the grown-up Camila. Camila. Oh, we're spoiling things now. Spoiler alert. Okay.
Uh,
It showed me another layer of this movie. Is there any particular reason why you made an ending like this? Okay, I guess I'll answer this one. That's a very good question, by the way, and not one that we get often. I think the whole film, in many ways, is about the concept of family and motherhood. Is family, Siza, your character has a line about this, is being a mother giving birth to someone and sharing blood with them, or is it being there for all the little moments and really raising somebody?
mhm.
It's no secret, many of the Hong Kong kids whose parents are working are being raised by domestic workers, and they develop such a close bond that it feels like family to them. And in some cases, for these little kids, the domestic worker is more of a mother than their real mother in their eyes. And so I wanted to show, without revealing too many details of the ending for people who haven't seen it, I wanted to talk about this question of, Camila and H have a very special relationship. Um, are they family? They're not related by blood, and there will always be this divide between them of class and status, and there's the ma'am character in between. But I thought it was so touching that even though they're not literally family, they feel like family, and they will always have a connection. So I would say that's why we wanted to highlight that. But it's still complicated, and still not a H's character does make sacrifices for that love, and that love is not the traditional mother-daughter love, even though it looks like it. So that would be what I would say. Okay, more questions. We lost Miles, but I hope she's gonna come back. Maybe she has. Maybe her. Miles, did you need like a makeup touch up or something?
No,
What
I checked the
happened?
chat conversation. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Okay, let's see.
Mm.
What is everyone's thoughts on the strongest emotion that is holding H back from escaping? Do you think H will be continually trapped in Hong Kong? Where is home for H? I love this question.
Oh
What is home
yeah.
for H? Miles, what do you think? Where is home for H?
I think this scene just really shows how domestic workers treat their jobs, their employers. They don't just treat them as boss or employer, but they treat them as family.
Yeah.
I think
Mm,
that's the reason why H had second thoughts on leaving Hong Kong and leaving Minnie and also the baby that's coming.
mhm,
Yeah, and I think home for H. I think H doesn't really have a country or a place that she calls home. I
mm,
think what she calls home is her employers.
mm,
Um, it's the children. That's why she cannot leave them.
mhm. And also her dream, I think, which
Mm.
clearly in the end of the film does survive. And I'm someone who's very defined by my dreams. I know Miles and Siza, you both are as well.
Yeah.
I think the cruelest thing is when you don't let somebody dream, right? And many of the domestic workers, unfortunately, are in that position where they can't afford to dream because their
Yeah.
life is so it's so much about just sending the money straight home, right? You work so hard, you earn the money, you don't enjoy the money, you just send it right back home. So that's just a reality, I suppose. Okay, another question. Still images. Congratulations on a beautiful film. For what reason did you choose to use still images with the continuous conversation? So for anyone who still doesn't know, the film is a photo montage. It's a series of still images mixed with moving images in a very unique way. There's many reasons I can say why we did this, but I actually am very interested to know, you two, when did you first realize that this is what we were doing? And what was your first thought? And then what's your thought now? And be honest.
This is really funny, because when we found out that this is gonna be when I saw the first screening we hosted a year ago, I think.
Work in progress screening.
I was confused. I was really confused, and I told Miles, I was like, so that means that couldn't see our acting there, because it's gonna be just like face.
Sure.
And in my head, I was like, I gave my heart on that scene, and I million times to be able to portray like a mother, a single mother longing for, to hold his hands, his sons. It was at first it was disappointing, because how are people gonna know like our acting is good or bad, right? But then after we realized that this is gonna be a different movie, different experience, visual experience, it ended up really good. And you're well done to you, Steph, and the entire crew, because you captured all the emotions. I said this the other day when I rewatched the movie, when I rewatch our film, like you capture the sadness, the angry, happiness, everything, every single emotions are there in the movie. So thank you. I appreciate everything there.
And the technique is really part of the story as well. And then I think you've mentioned about the technique when we were filming, but we didn't really bother researching more about it, because we were really concerned about how we're going to portray our characters, because there's so much pressure in us, because we're Filipino and we know the people that we are representing as well. But it was just, the sad part is just we couldn't use it for our acting reel.
I know,
but it's okay, because we're also after the experience, the friendship that we have after filming this, and then we also had a lot of connections. If weren't for this film, I wouldn't be able to get to know Ray, our one of our film crew as well. She introduced me to Christy Cole, the director of my short film Ate. So without that, I wouldn't be able to audition for other projects as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will defend my decision now, because if you're reading between the lines, basically what Miles and Xyza are saying is, I'm never working with this crazy guy again after he tricked me like that. But no, I think I definitely mentioned, I remember mentioning, and you guys could see on set, we're shooting in a different way. We have this weird language of like shutter angle and frame rate and all this stuff. But I thought that if I told you both too much about this is exactly how it's going to feel, you'll start changing the performance.
Exactly.
And we always wanted to shoot it like a documentary. We always wanted to just let you guys do your thing and let the camera be the fly on the wall. I will also say, Miles, obviously you and I did that short film to test it all. But one of the first things we hear from people is the performances are incredible. Miles and Xyza, their chemistry is incredible. And I actually think in some ways your performances are heightened because they're in still images. Because obviously in your dancing and in some moments, Miles, in the ending, it's a normal, it's more normal. So you do see motion in the film. The film is not entirely photographic, but I do think that in this world of constant overstimulation, giving people one really well-chosen photo of Xyza, you clearly not faking anything. Like you
Yeah.
said, you're not acting, you're just being yourself. And then you still hear your vocal performance, right? And it's still very rich, and there's still the music, and there's still all the other things. The only thing we take away from the audience is the live update of more photos. We're giving you one, and we're saying, think about this one. What is there? What do you see that tear on her cheek? It didn't fall. It's still there. So we're forcing you to think about it longer. Of course, it's uncomfortable. Of course, there's going to be people who are not going to enjoy that kind of experience. But it's amazing to me, and a huge credit to you both, that people's first comments are about performance. And we're not just talking about viewers who are not in the industry. We're talking about people who work in casting and people who run film festivals, quite big ones. I won't name any names, but people saying the leads were incredible. The chemistry was incredible. The performances were amazing in still images. And that's unheard of. So I think we should all be proud of that.
Yeah, I'm very, very proud of it.
Proud of you.
Well done.
Proud of you and Ran.
Yeah. Ran, our DP, really helped us to invent this weird new vocabulary. But the only safe thing is to take a risk. So that's what we've done, and hopefully people can see the value in that.
Your stubbornness really helps, Stefanos.
True.
100%. Your stubbornness really helped make this happen. So
yeah,
and it was so easy to work with Steph because he knows what he wants.
Yeah.
And he really knows how to talk to his actors. Yeah. He knows how to motivate us. Yeah.
And he will not stop. He will not stop until he gets the perfect angle of each and every scenes.
Yeah, Miles, you're thinking about the beach dance right now, aren't you?
I know.
Tell us about that.
The beach is so funny. Yeah, because it was so hard to dance in the water, right? So it takes a lot of your energy. And then I do this dance, I do this jumps, and then when Steph calls cut, I'm like so thirsty and didn't bother like asking me, are you okay? Are you even thirsty? He would just check on the footage and then see if I'm doing okay, and he will just call again to refilm the scenes. I was like, do you care about me?
Yeah, I must apologize for that. That was tough because
no, but it's okay.
I remember that day we went all day to Puyo in Lantau Island, and we have a steady cam and we're shooting on film, and the roll can only it's a 5-minute shot. So, and the sun is setting. It's like a mixture of different things that has to be perfect. We can only do it twice, and it's in the water, right? So we have to put a bag on the camera, and we're worried it's going to get wet. So we have this thing on the lens that spins really loud right next to your face, Miles, to make the water fly away. And we did 2 takes, and then I remember we realized the spinny thing was not working, and it some water got inside, some technical issue, and we were all like, no, we have to come back here and do this all again.
Yeah.
And especially
we filmed it twice, right? 2 days.
We did 2 full days just to get 4 takes. And then in the end, only one of them worked because for technical reasons. Miles killed it every time, but technically we only had 1 working take. And I guess that's, Miles, what you have to deal with when you work with indie film crew.
Yeah, but thanks for the motivation, because while we were filming, of course, I had to cry all day. So sometimes I run out of ideas to make me cry. So Steph was just, remember this part of your life.
By the end, you're just crying.
Right? Yeah.
You're just crying like, I have to do this again. All right, I think we're almost out of time, you guys. So maybe, is there anything else you want to say just to everyone while we're here?
I would just like to say thank you so much for taking your time to watch our film. We worked so hard on this one, and I hope you guys will get something from it. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you to Asia Society for hosting this. Thanks for everyone who's here, taking your time to watch our film. As Smile said, we worked so hard. We put our heart in it. Stefanos, thank you so much for choosing us. This is a privilege for us. We hope that this film changed a little bit of your perspective about domestic workers in Hong Kong, and yeah, and also like Filipino actors in Hong Kong. Like we would, yeah, appreciate their talents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's really too many people that helps make this possible, to thank in a short time. And I'll just say that it felt in many ways like a miracle that we got this far. We're still nowhere near the end of this journey. We're traveling with the film now, and I think that in many ways, I think when you try to do something good and you try to tell people something that they haven't seen before, and show the humanity of a group of people that are so often marginalized and viewed as one-dimensional, I think good things happen. I think the pieces fall into place. Finding both of you was a blessing. Finding the dancers, the crew, everyone, Ray was a huge part of that. It felt like it was meant to be, and so just a massive thank you to everyone. If you're watching and if you're not, we couldn't be more grateful. And this will be something we carry with us forever, right? We will always have this together.
And also special thanks to um what's her name? Our dance instructor.
Jen and Lauren.
And
Yeah.
From BPM Productions. Yeah.
Jen and Lauren. Without them, this wouldn't happen. 75% of the film are basically dance. It revolves around dancing. So thanks everyone. And to our volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
All
and co-actors.
Co-actors.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that's been
All
part
the
of this
crew.
is just amazing. We waited 2 years for this, so I guess this is worth waiting. Worth waiting 2 years.
And we will have events in person in Hong Kong, so stay tuned for that. Follow us on social media. We Don't Dance for Nothing, and we'll be talking to everyone very soon. It's only the beginning. Okay. All right. Do I just click end call, I guess? All right. I guess so. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.